Welcome. It's exciting to see everybody here already. I'm Paula Bartholomew, and I'm really delighted you've tuned in for Hawthorn University's All About Alumni. Today we get to meet with Barbara Rodgers, who's going to share her experiences as a recent graduate, how she gets started in her career as a nutrition consultant, and the key areas that required planning in order to achieve the success that she has so far and planning that forward. I'm going to interview Barbara for about 30 minutes, and then you'll have the opportunity to ask her questions directly. You'll see your webinar panel there and the question and answers. Anytime that you've got a comment or a question at any point during the presentation, go ahead and type it in, and we'll be ready for questions at the end. All right, Barbara, hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. I was so excited to be able to contribute in this way.
Right, I'm really excited to be here together too, and it's really my pleasure to get to introduce you.
Thank you.
All right, let's get it started. Barbara completed her Hawthorn Nutrition Consultant Program in May of 2015. She graduated Summa Cum Laude. Soon after graduating, she turned her attention to the NANP Board Certification in Holistic Nutrition, which she successfully completed in March of 2016. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Barbara came to our industry through her own healing journey and believes her mission is twofold: to serve as an advocate for the holistic nutrition industry and through private consultations to help those dealing with chronic disease and illness to realize the power of nutrition in elevating their health status. Barbara's been elected board member of NANP since early 2016. She volunteers for a Meals on Wheels program in Philadelphia and is very close to publishing her first book and has a growing private consulting business with clients across the U.S. Fantastic, Barbara. Really our pleasure to have you here.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Paul. I really appreciated getting the invitation to share a little bit of what I've done in the last couple of years with your students and graduates.
Okay, so let's start out, and why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up in holistic nutrition field?
I would love to. My background started actually in the corporate world. I really was not at all interested in working in healthcare or was not holistic minded. I spent over 25 years in senior management in the financial services industry. Loved my career. It was very challenging, very stressful, but I progressed and broke the proverbial glass ceiling as a female executive. But around 2006, I lost my job. I had a big global job. I was working out of New York, and there was a big corporate reorganization. Lost my job, lots of stress involved with that kind of experience. And 2 or 3 months after that happened, I started having these really unusual neurological symptoms. They grew in scope and severity over a period of months, and I ended up being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So that kind of ended my corporate career. I really was too ill to pursue getting back into the workforce at that point. And traditional doctors, of course, weren't much help. They said that they don't really know how to cure MS. I was kind of left to the pharmaceutical drugs that they would recommend to manage symptoms. So I really struggled with my mobility and stamina for about 5.5 years. I was slowly declining over that period, especially the latter couple of years, and ended up having a real severe MS attack that ended up being kind of my aha moment when I realized the damage that MS could really do.
Yes.
And I went back home to my husband after meeting with my doctor. I said, look, I've got to do something aggressive. I have to look at everything and anything that might help me. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it seems like as soon as you send out that kind of message to the universe, lo and behold, you get help. And I got referred to somebody who had been through a nutritional program with a holistic nutritionist. She was also the author of a book. And I read the book. I contacted the author, and I ended up on a Candida diet under her guidance for close to 3 years. And the healing process that I went through was so astounding to me. And it did take me all of that 3 years to feel that I was completely recovered. Mm-hmm. But along with my recovery came this intense curiosity to understand the science behind nutrition. Mm-hmm. And along that came, some passion along with it of wanting to bring awareness to others who are dealing with chronic disease or illness, that how they're eating matters. And I don't think this information is really mainstream yet. So that became very important to me to learn and try and bring the information to other people.
Thank you for that, because with the exception of Dr. Terry Walls, we don't have much out there, and she's a powerful story.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and kind of the hallmark of what we're hoping to achieve here with MS, and also kind of a roadmap. So bravo for you for persevering and staying with us. So what led you to pursue your nutrition consultant credentials then with Hawthorn?
Well, it really was that growing interest as I continued to heal. The latter months on the Candida diet, and I said, this growing interest in why was this working. I was so baffled throughout the process, although so elated to really get my life back, because I was really becoming very debilitated and slowly losing my mobility. Yeah. So I had a very good friend of mine say, look, you've got to do something with this new passion and this interest that you have. And I decided that I needed to educate myself, and I wanted to find a school. I started looking at different programs, but I did have some very specific criteria that I needed to meet in that program. And one was it needed to be a distance learning. I still was struggling with stamina at the point when I registered for school. And so I knew that I wanted to work from home. And I needed a program that was flexible, that I could study at my own pace. And of course, I hadn't been working for a few years now, so I needed something economical, something that would fit within my budget. I also looked very closely at the curriculum, because I knew that I wanted it to have a holistic philosophical approach. And I wanted it to get pretty deep into the science, because that is what intrigued me, is biologically what is going on in the human body that nutrition impacts so dramatically. So, I did look at a lot of schools, and that's really how I kind of drilled down pretty quickly into the Hawthorn program. The other thing that was of interest to me, I'll throw out real quick, I really wanted to get into the master's program at Hawthorn. And even though I had a very successful career in the securities industry, I never did complete my undergraduate degree. So that prevented me from, being accepted in the master's program. But I had dreams of really getting into the doctorate program, because for anybody that has advanced education in their site, to look at that program, because the curriculum just sounds so fascinating and interesting to me. So Hawthorn it was, and I was very, very excited, and still am really pleased with the decision I made.
That sounds so great. So then you went to school, and that satisfied your curiosity from a holistic philosophical perspective and bringing in the deep sciences. So what were some of the first things that you started to focus on following graduation?
Well, there were a number of things, and I love starting up a new business. So as I approached graduation, this was my thing. I had actually started a new securities broker-dealer division for a major corporation. So starting a business from scratch was something that is fun to me. So I actually started working on things before I graduated. And there's a business class at Hawthorn that really encourages students to start thinking about what kind of business do you want to have, and helping to hone your skills in starting that business and the kinds of things you need to think about. So I really started early, and I did things like, you can see a picture on this slide. This is my home office. I worked on how I wanted my office to be set up. So I got bookcases for the tons of books on health and nutrition that I now have. You can't see them in this picture. They're behind me. I started working on my website before graduation. I started working on my business model and my business niche, which are important things. I'll try and talk a little bit more about those in a bit. I also started working on thinking through things, what I call day-to-day operational decisions, like how did I want to handle the exchange of forms and documents with clients, and what forms and documents would I use? How will I bill people? How will I receive money, and those kinds of things? Because it was all new for me as a sole proprietor and having worked in the corporate world before. But you know, so those are some of the things. I also checked into what restrictions I would have in the state that I am in. Fortunately for me, I'm in a green state. So I was lucky to find that out. I'm in the state of Pennsylvania. I did also submit into the state and request my business license prior to graduation. So I really wanted to hit the ground running once I did graduate. I also joined, you can see listed on the slide, some organizations as a student. And these were, some of these were mentioned, I believe, in the business class at Hawthorn. I checked into them, and I felt that at some point I would get some benefits from the memberships with them, especially the NANP. I joined as a student. And of course, now, as you mentioned, I am elected to the board of directors. But all of them have value that they can bring even to a student, and certainly following graduation. So those are you know, a few of the things that I started working on you know, pretty early on.
We really encourage, you know, I love it that you started working on this and thinking business-wise while you were in school, because there are so many things that you could avail yourself from the information and the resources that you have, and with the business course to start getting yourself ready. And so, yes, we encourage it while you're in school, and I'm really glad to see the progress that you've made with that.
Yeah.
So what were some of the other things that were on your plan to do post-grad?
Well, I had some very specific things I wanted to accomplish right after graduation, which is why I tried to ramp up prior to graduation on some of the things, you know, related to starting the business. Mm-hmm. But it was really important to me to immediately go into studying for the NANP Board Certification. That was a credential that was really important to me to achieve. I'm really, really glad I did it. But it did require, it's a hard exam, I will tell you. And I ended up forming a study group. It was either June or July. I graduated in May of 2015. It was June or July. I formed a study group that worked, and I've stayed friends with most of the members of my study group, a great group of women. So that was really important to me. I also wanted to get working on my book, writing my book, which actually started out as a Hawthorn assignment at another class. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And the third thing that was on my list was starting to build my client base. And I did that in a very unconventional way because it was more of a tertiary goal for me. It was not my primary goal. I took the approach of just sending a message to the universe, as strange as this sounds, send me people who really want help, who wanted a holistic nutrition counseling. And that's worked for me. About 90% or so, 95% of my new clients come from referrals from other clients. So in my mind, that's kind of the universe responding to my request. And
also you doing good work.
Well, I think so, because you know, that really is the best way to get clients, because a new client, if they're referred from somebody who has had success with you, they come to you already trusting you and understanding that there is a degree of success they will attain by listening to your recommendations.
Great.
Yeah, you know, the only the other thing that I did that I'll just mention quickly is a lot of people rather will suggest that you go out and do a lot of free public speaking upon graduation. Yes. I think it's a great idea, And I think it's a necessary thing to do to really get your name out there and get used to talking about your subject matter and meeting people and building that client base. I did not do that because I had these other things that were important to me that I did want to focus on. But I will be doing that as I finish up the book and getting that published. I will be doing a lot more public speaking and looking for whatever opportunities avail themselves to me, whether it's at my local library, a community center,
Yes.
just, get out there in front of people.
Yes, absolutely. Very important at that point. You'll be poised to have, to open a lot of doors with a book. Absolutely. And your growing experience. So let's talk about your growing experience a little bit. You have a strong background in a corporate career and your experience with Hawthorn. So how's that supported you in getting started in your consulting business?
It's really helped me a lot from one perspective in particular, and that is I think because my career was in sales for 30 some years, so I seem to have a natural inclination to reach out to people, whether I know them or not, makes no difference. And I'm not afraid to hear the word no from people. And I think that's important. And especially as a sole proprietor, you need to be willing to pick up the phone sometimes and talk to people. I encourage people to email and call other students, call graduates. When I learned about the Alumni webinar series, I went through and listened to most of everything that was posted out there, watched all the webinars. And there's so much great information that people are sharing with us through this medium. But I actually reached out to one in particular, Erin Chamberlain, that I was very impressed by. Erin has accomplished so much in her years since she graduated, and she's just a delightful woman, has been very helpful to me, very willing to get on the phone with me. But frankly, almost anyone I've contacted, I contacted NANP board members when I was a student, and after graduation, I would look up other practitioners' websites, and if they impressed me with their website, or I had questions about how they did something, or how did they develop their fee structure, I'd shoot them an email, and almost always would get very pleasant responses and people willing to help. So, people should not be afraid to pick up the phone or send an email to somebody they don't know. You never know where it will lead. And there's opportunities, when you get to know other practitioners, some of them have very successful, they're getting lots of hits on their website, or they have a successful blog or a podcast, and they're always looking for guest speakers or guest writers. Right. And you can offer to post things. Everybody's always looking for a fresh take on a particular subject. So the other thing that I did is to go back and use school assignments, and those can be very practical business tools. I used a lot of research to develop handouts for clients, and in fact, the book that I'm publishing, the image that you see on your screen is a mock-up of the book cover. The title will be Baby Maker, and it is a holistic guide to nutrition for fertility, conception, and pregnancy. But that topic was something that I picked as a Hawthorn school assignment. And we had to develop a short pamphlet for a specific life stage. And I picked fertility and pregnancy. And I put so much into it that my teacher said, you really should turn this into something after you graduate. And so the pamphlet kind of evolved into a short little book. And now it turned into a 40,000 word book. So, so now, it's almost a 2.5-year project. I would encourage anyone, if you're thinking of writing a book, pick a topic that you love, because you're going to really be spending a lot of time on it. And writing a book takes a lot of time, which is why I haven't accomplished other things that I would have liked to at this point. But also, again, with the networking, talk to other colleagues who have published, because you can get lots of great advice and direction from people who have already done it.
Yes, I agree. And, one of the strong points that you said here is not, I want to reflect back of not being afraid to hear no.
Yeah.
And I think that's, we have a lot to learn from those no's. The yeses are our success. We get, yahoo, we get to move forward. But the no's is a learning curve. It's like, why did you get a no? Was it, more about the person, not, just being very proprietary, or was it about your approach? Was it the way that, you said something? What can you learn in that? So it's all a growth curve, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yes, you're exactly right. And one thing that you learn if you're in sales, and I guess as sole proprietors, we are, an aspect of what we do is to sell ourselves. But you do learn that when people object to something that you're saying, you should welcome that, because exactly as you just said, Paula, those are learning opportunities. You can grow, change your message, change your topic, realize that you need to provide more detail in something that you said, or just, something as simple as changing your tone of voice sometimes. But it's always a learning opportunity.
Yes. So be brave.
Be brave. Yes.
Well, I'm curious about your website, and if you'll talk a little bit more about that. I wonder about the thought process that you went through in designing your site and how it evolved for you.
Well, this was a little bit of a project, because I am not technically inclined with something like building a website. It's just not my area of expertise. And I will be the first to admit that I have more work to do in this area, particularly with social media that is tied to it. And remember, I was focused after graduation on getting the book written and getting the board certification. So I'm happy I got those things done. This is the second iteration of my website. And the piece of advice that I think is important for people as they're getting started and thinking about having their website is, if you don't know a lot about developing a website, hire someone who does. The money that you spend hiring the outside expertise could easily be saved in mistakes that you won't make. Because I made about a $1,500, $2,000 mistake by hiring somebody for my first version of my website. I even changed the business name a few months later, but it was not, it just wasn't strong enough. The code wasn't done well enough to support some of the functions that I wanted on my website. And she ended up, her hourly rate ended up being very expensive because she didn't really know what she was doing. So I was paying her to do research to learn how to figure some of this stuff out. So find somebody who really knows what to do. And you also really need to think about what functions you do want on your website. There's some key ones that are important that I learned from having a couple sessions with a very well-known business consultant, Miriam Zacharias, who is actually now president of NANP. And the things I learned from Miriam, I don't think she'll mind if I share them, is first of all, you want to really hone in on your business niche. And that's something you can be thinking about while you're in school, because it will also help direct your research and study efforts if you know that you're going to really be focusing your business and counseling in a particular area. Generalists generally don't do as well, particularly in this world of internet marketing. You want to market yourself with specificity. And so think about that now. You can also use your own health experience or that of a loved one as your business niche, but it needs to be very narrowly defined. And it also doesn't mean that you can't accept other clients whose health condition goes beyond your niche. You certainly can. The niche is how you market yourself and draw people to you and to your website.
Yeah, important point about not limiting your services, but having a focus.
Yeah, and the marketing, the website, of course, is your calling card. If I hand out a business card now, it is really because somebody asked for my website. It's no longer, what's your phone number? It's for the website to pass that on. So how your website looks, having white space, having the call to action, giving away something free where they have to enter their email address and you can build your list. You need to do some research, or again, have that expertise and somebody providing that information to you, so you know what you want your website to do for you day one, as well as have a vision for where you think you want to be 2 or 3 years from now. Do you need to have technology that will support a welcome video, which is highly recommended for websites today? That's not something I have, but I hope to have it down the road. So there's a lot of great advice you can get from people who have expertise in this area. So again, hire somebody, consider it an important business expense that will be well justified down the road. As I said, I had some problems and it cost me, and I had to completely redo my website about a year later. The same thing with social media and just marketing yourself on the internet. I now have someone I use on the outside. Her name is Deborah Murphy at masterfulmarketing.com, and she is amazing. She's the one that really helped me get my website to where it is right now, and I'm very happy with how it looks and how it functions for me. She's also helping me with search engine optimization and using Google Analytics, and really getting my website to where I want it to be as I start to get out and try and really start building my tribe with, the book launch and other things, and the speaking and other things I hope to be doing. So all really important.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Paula.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just was acknowledging how important it is to identify what your personal strengths are and focus on those, and your weaknesses where you say, technology wasn't your strong point, you got help. And
right.
And still you're an intelligent woman. Can't you say that by reaching out and getting this help that wasn't very helpful, and then somebody that really was, that you've learned a lot, and that
Right.
you'll be able to manage this on your own moving forward at a certain point?
Right. Yeah, the beauty about what I like about the Internet Marketing Manager I have now, Deborah Murphy at Masterful Marketing, is she is teaching me how to manage my own website. So I now have, this will sound silly to people who know how to do this, but just posting my own blogs and getting the images out there was something that I was just clueless about. So I know how to do all of that now. I can manage and post new content. I can get images out there. Some of the more complicated things like, setting up, I have a free quiz that people can fill out if they put their email address in. It'll help figure out, to what degree they might be dealing with chronic stress. But something like that I need help with. But yeah, it was really perfect for me, but she is also teaching me, and so now I can optimize my own blog posts and check them for readability, and it's been a whole new world for me. It's
wonderful. It's like you can learn this stuff, and there's people to help us as we need it. And I think the previous All About Alumni presenters, most have addressed their website and their marketing strategies to some degree. And one comes to mind is Jenny Yelly. Her primary focus of her presentation was the building and developing of her website. So it's a great piece to go back and refer to also. And Miriam Zacharias's book is now part of our business courses. She's done a couple of webinars for Hawthorn, so those are included. And our business course has been redesigned. And so there's a lot new content in it, and throughout the courses, we're having students focus more on blogs and podcasts and writing and things that all lend themselves to post-graduation successes. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I don't think Miriam Zacharias actually does private consulting work anymore, but along with her having her materials in the course, I know there's a lot of materials available for free and for purchase just through her website as well, but
Right.
there's some great information out there for those who are inclined to take a do-it-yourself approach.
That's right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to add about how you're using social media and how it's effective for you?
Well, the couple of other things I've learned, again, I have not been engaged in building my tribe on social media as effectively as I should have been. And I say, you know, I fall back on, well, I was working on the board certification of the book, but now it's kind of coming back to haunt me because book publishers want to see that you have a following. So if you are thinking of writing a book, I would suggest that you don't do what I did and wait on some of the social media stuff because they go hand in hand in terms of finding a traditional publishing house to pick you up. I have learned that for small businesses, the most effective social media platforms that you want to look at, because it is time consuming. Each one that you add is time consuming to keep up with, unless you have somebody helping you. But the primary ones are Facebook, Pinterest. I have LinkedIn on the slide, but I would say Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter. And those, you might find statistics now that knock one of these here or there, or the order of importance or priority, but I think those are still pretty key to have. So other than that, there's a couple other quick marketing things I'll throw out to people that I learned about from other just webinars that I participated in over the couple of years since graduation. And one is HARO, H-A-R-O. The website is helpareporter.com. And if you register with HARO, you'll get 2 emails a day where reporters are posting topics where they are looking for expert opinions or information to help them complete an article that they're working on. And there are literally television stations, magazines, publications from all over the country, including the big ones, that post topics on HARO. So I did get quoted in Healthline and Vivala magazines. One was later in 2015 after graduation, and then one was last year. But it's a great way to get your name out there, and you look through the list of topics. If you see something about nutrition, sometimes you'll see something about holistic nutrition. You can send in the information that the reporter is looking for. The key is you have to follow up to see if they use your submission. It's rare that a reporter will. I did have it happen once where they emailed me and said, I'm going to use what you sent. But otherwise, you should expect not to hear from the reporter. You just have to check and see if you got quoted or if your submission got used. So that's a really good one to get your name out there. The other one is, as you're training people in school, Paula, is to set up your own podcast or look for other existing podcasts where you could be a guest speaker, offer to be a guest blogger on websites, and as we already talked about, definitely get out and do as many speaking engagements as you can. So
there's tremendous opportunity here. There's so many places and opportunities. It's gotten quite competitive, but people are looking for valuable, reliable, science-based, credible information from a voice that they can count on. So yes, it's a big open opportunity for you and our graduates.
Yes, it really is, and lots of things to take advantage of. And you're getting out really important information to people who are chronically ill or dealing with some kind of health condition where they're looking for help. And to me, that's the big priority to me, is to help build awareness out there that there are things people can do to help themselves. Right.
Well, we're closing in on time here. I wonder if you have additional advice or closing thoughts for our current students or our graduates.
Yeah, just a couple I'll throw out. This slide, it has a picture of me from last year at the NANP conference, but I strongly encourage people to get involved and join NANP. They do have a student level membership for those who are still students. It gives you an opportunity to get involved at an industry level, and the NANP is doing some great things, including recently joining a lobbying group in Washington, D.C., who are diligently working to protect our right to practice as practitioners in holistic nutrition. So there's a lot of great things going on there. Plan for ongoing education after you graduate Hawthorn. There's just great opportunities for learning, and of course there's always new research coming out. And I think the biggest thing is what's at the top of the screen is please don't give up. Finish your program. The industry needs people like you. We need more voices out there talking about holistic nutrition that will help turn people's lives and health around. So keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I second that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's so many organizations out there you can become members of. There's a few listed here on the screen that I joined, including supplement manufacturers, or you don't really join some of these, you just register, but where they will always be sending you out updated information to help you stay on top of just nutrition and new research and you know, what kinds of things are affecting the human body. And the last point I really wanted to make is for people to take pride in what you do. You are, as I said, helping people who desperately want to regain their health and life. And it is extremely rewarding when you're in a position to do just that.
Well, you've been very helpful here today, Barbara, by willing to take time out from your busy schedule of writing your book and getting that completed. And you're on your way to the NANP conference tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's the annual conference this year. It's up in Portland this year. It's a fantastic opportunity to meet with all the like-minded people and be with tribe. You know, it's very much our tribe coming together. So it's a great opportunity there, and I wish you all the best with that.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I really appreciated the opportunity to participate in one of your webinars today.
Absolutely. And I wanted to just more on our Tuesday night webinar series. For the rest of this year, we're going to have many more presentations on the business aspects, growing the business, legal aspects. We've got a lawyer, we've got a lobbyist coming on, we've got several people that's their whole focus is holistic health and nutrition and business. So lots of support coming up that way too. And you know, I just want to say it's been really a pleasure talking with you, Barbara. I'm so happy that you seized this opportunity. I want to say Barbara took time from her busy schedule devoted to working on her book to put this presentation together and be with us today. So kudos for you for that, and I'm very, very grateful.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. Thanks again for the invitation.
You bet. So come back anytime and tell us about the rest of the good works that you're doing, and we'll want to hear about what NANP is like for sure. So it was just a wonderful presentation. I thank you, and I want to let people know that for our next All About Alumni, we'll meet here again on Wednesday, June 7th. And Karen Roth is going to be presenting. She's a graduate from Hawthorn's Master of Science in Holistic Nutrition program. She's got some great works that she's been doing over the years since graduation. So that's coming up. There's a survey to complete after we close the webinar. So if you could take a minute or two and give us your feedback, I'd appreciate it. Let us know what you thought about Barbara's presentation and what we can hear about more in the future. And if you've got a graduate, or if you're a graduate and you want to be on All About Alumni, I want to hear about it. So thanks for all of it. Thanks for being here. I wish you all the best of health, and take good care, everybody. We'll be back here next month.